The original Secret of Mana is a 16-bit action role-playing game which puts you in the shoes of Randy, or whatever you want to call him. Together with his friends, he goes on a surprisingly challenging adventure. In the 90s, the game stood out because of its real-time combat system, and the fact that it could easily be enjoyed by multiple players through local co-op. This remake for the PS4 still oozes classic JRPG from every pore. It looks better and has improved a bit, but still has some issues that should not be in a modern game. If only Square Enix put in a bit more effort. The Secret of Mana does a decent job of expressing the heart and soul of the original game through cute 3D graphics that add a lot of detail to all the characters you meet and the environments you encounter them in. While the graphics look more like a late PS2 or early PS3 game, they do a good enough job of conveying the heart and soul of the series. Unfortunately, the color choice makes the game look a bit washed out at times, making it lose some of the flair of the original in the process. The main character's clothing, for example, has washed out reds and baby blues, opposed to the original's purple and electric blue hues. When not comparing the game to its original or other games on the PS4, the graphics have a chance to stand out. There are some beautiful moments in the Secret of Mana remake, and the more you advance through the game, the more interesting the environments will get. We personally really like the sparkly trees one. The game looks cute and inviting, and you might even think it's the perfect game to play with your family. That would be the case if it wasn't for the enormous and sometimes inexplicable difficulty spikes found throughout the game. One moment an enemy takes an hour to kill, while the next dies in just a couple of hits. Like in most classic RPGs, it's completely unclear where you need to go at times. Usually the game will point you in a direction through the story, but it's a struggle when it doesn't. As mentioned in the beginning, the Secret of Mana allows co-op for up to 3 people. The co-op experience is one of the game's strongest suits, allowing for very easy pickup but hard to master gameplay. Each character is very different in terms of their abilities, and they're interchangeable at any time, making for some really fun and interesting gameplay. The playthrough for this review has been done by 2 people for the entirety of the game. However, if you plan to play it with a buddy, don't expect to be playing right away. Just like in the original, you first need to meet your companions. If you talk to the right people, you will trigger the event about 20 minutes into the game. Mess up and you won't be able to co-op for quite a while longer. This is just one of those things that should have been made easier. You also can't hotkey spells in co-op, which is a damn shame. The combat of the original was kept pretty much intact. You wait for a meter to fill up until you strike. You can even superfill your meter for more powerful attacks. There are no dodge mechanics, but there are various defensive and offensive spells that companions can cast. While borderline outdated, the combat does a good job at being tense and rewarding. It is still a very enjoyable experience whether you decide to play solo or with a friend. There is no doubt that the Secret of Mana remake feels good to play, but it could have been even better. Thankfully, running and moving around feels a lot better in this PS4 version. Overall, the gameplay elements of the Secret of Mana make it a fun experience that can keep players interested for hours on end. Unfortunately, it misses the opportunity of streamlining old mechanics and increasing accessibility. The Secret of Mana remake has major mishaps in the technical department. Instead of taking advantage of the possibility to fix some things that were always problematic, the remake resigns to just upgrading the graphics and keeping all the technical flaws of the classic. Considering how little resources the game takes to run, it is mind-blowing how there was still a need for constant loading screens in between zones that are minuscule in size. The introduction of the minimap is a welcome addition, making navigation in the game much easier. It comes with a trade-off though, as it often interfered with combat by covering a rather large portion of the screen. The camera also struggled with properly positioning itself, choosing weird angles that are not always dependent on the character's positions. Moreover, the distance limit between co-op characters from the original SNES game is still present in the game. The biggest technical issues that The Secret of Mana Remake has are the game crashes. It doesn't happen all the time, but it is pretty disappointing to see a rather simple game crash on the PS4. Luckily, the new autosave feature helped a lot with not losing hours and hours of progress when this happened. Technically, The Secret of Mana Remake is not great by any means. It looks and plays like an early PS3 game, and it even has crashes on a platform that is otherwise very stable. The remake did too little to fix issues that could have been forgiven back in 1993, but not today. The story of The Secret of Mana Remake is just as good as you remembered. The characters are lovable and the relationship between them can be felt through the atmosphere of the game as well as the cutscenes that happen when you go to sleep. The banter that characters engage in does a good job at expressing their personality. There are a few choices that the player is presented with during dialogue and certain events, but upon inspection they don't seem to really alter the course of the game. But hey, what do you expect? It's a game from 1993. The voice acting in the game is not fantastic by any means. It ranges from pretty good to not so good at all.
Silly child! Thanatos is a mystic knight of the Vandal Empire who will crush your kingdom from within.
Oh! They say I'm going to be sacrificed. Pretty neat, huh?
You're going to be what? Amela! Snap out of it!
Nevertheless, it's an interesting addition and we appreciate they at least try to improve on this front. So in the end, what do we think? The Secret of Mana Remake is a cute and fun experience that maintains the heart and soul of the original for the most part, but misses big on the opportunity to improve and elevate the game. SNES players will probably leave a bit disappointed, but they at least have the opportunity to revisit their favorite game in a whole new light, which in the end is still very playable. Newcomers who won't compare the game to the original will feel even better about it. The Secret of Mana Remake is a good effort and a still fun co-op or solo experience that doesn't lose the soul of the original, but unfortunately fails to improve or innovate as well. Our score for The Secret of Mana Remake is a 3 out of 5.